Right, so in this video, I want to quickly show you how I've been using Claude Code for everything go-to-market recently. So just for a bit of background, I run a go-to-market agency, mainly focused on B2B SaaS in the US and the UK. Um, and in the past, I've been using Clay for like most of the work I've been doing, most of the go-to-market prep, list building, AI personalization, copywriting, etc. But over the last month or two, Claude Code has literally been my entire setup for almost everything I do. And if you're watching this, you've probably started to see that on LinkedIn quite a lot. But just rest assured that if you're even dabbling in Claude Code, you're probably way ahead of anyone else in your industry. So it's an exciting time. And some of the things I've been building are like really impressing me. I have no coding experience, nothing, and you can build some really cool stuff just by talking with your voice. So before we start, I think the number one things you need to set up first is I found VS Code is the fastest way to set it up for like someone who's a noob and doesn't want to use Claude Code in the terminal. I find VS Code is quite easy to understand as like a person getting started who doesn't know how to code, and then actually getting it connected to VS Code is fairly easy as well. Honestly, just type down how to set up Claude on VS Code on YouTube, and you'll get a much clearer picture of how to set it up. I don't want to waste your time showing you how to set it up here. But once you got it set up, it's literally just a chat window. So you can just click it there and it opens up chat windows. One thing you need to be very careful of, and this is what I learned from literally just watching maybe 10 or 20 YouTube videos about Claude Code, and you should probably just do the same. Just start down Claude Code and watch the first 20 videos on YouTube. But the first thing I learned that's like really important is the context window. So when you put in your prompts in here and you're doing your planning and it's going through all of your files, you'll see down here a little bar that kind of fills up and tells you how much of your context you've used. Anything above 50%, I think, start to get a little bit wary. If you're up to like 75%, then you need to be thinking about moving into a new chat window very soon. Because when you get up to these like high context window usage sessions, basically the performance just really dips. You can look into the details of why that is in other videos, but that's not what this is for. So yeah, anything above 50%, just start to think about, okay, I need to move this into a new chat. And when you're moving it into a new chat, it's good to just ask Claude, okay, can you summarize everything we've done so far here and tell me what I need to paste into the next chat to carry on from where we are? That's just what I've been doing. I don't know if it's the best practice, but it's been working quite well. And then you just carry on with fresh context. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to show you, like, once you've got all of that set up, one other thing you need is called Super Whisper, or I think there's another one called Whisper Flow. And that basically just allows you to actually talk with your voice rather than having to type the whole time. And this is super, super important. You should not be typing when you're using Claude Code. You need to be talking because you can talk 10 times faster than you can type. And that means you can give 10 times more context. And context is literally the king with getting the most out of Claude Code. So, yeah, those are the main things to think of. And then one other thing that's super, super important is when you come into here, it will usually be here saying edit automatically, ask for edits, or plan mode. Before you build anything, you have to use plan mode. People forget to do this, and that's then they like question why their output is bad. Plan mode is the key. You want to be in plan mode for most of your session. So you're just talking to it, and in plan mode, it doesn't execute anything. It literally just looks at all the context in your folder, um, looks at your instructions that you're giving it, and thinks of like the best way to actually go about this. And if you don't go through this stage, then yeah, the results you're going to get from Claude Code are probably not going to be the best. So when you're doing this, it will ask you multiple choice questions, and just keep going through this over and over again until you look at the plan and you're like, okay, I'm confident in that. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to show you a use case of where I used this last week actually. So I had a new client come on board. They're a B2B SaaS in the UK, and they're focused around basically helping companies fit the criteria for like carbon emissions and basically all of the criteria you have to hit to win a public sector bid. And if you're from the US, a public sector bid in the UK is basically where you just sell something to the government. But the government requires you to hit certain quotas with like your carbon emissions and lots of other things. But for you to be accepted into this and win £1 million contracts, he was doing this as a on a consulting basis for years, and now he's turned it into a B2B SaaS that's basically self-service. So we're thinking of what we can do for their like first go-to-market plan. So obviously we had loads of calls, all of that. And one of the main things you need to have is call recording, so you get the transcripts from your calls, because you can feed these transcripts into Claude Code, and it will improve like your workflow by huge amounts, save you so much time, and make the output so much more accurate. So we fed them in, and then our we came to the conclusion that our best bet is to start with reaching out to people who already have won contracts in the past. And luckily, in the UK, we're very lucky that we have something, basically a government database called Companies House, and another one called gov.uk. And you can see them up in the top here. So there's a contracts finder tool and there's find a tender tool. All these do is just allows you to go through their database and see people who have won contracts with the government before. But the issue is they limit you to only exporting like 1,000 rows at a time. And there's hundreds of thousands of these companies. Also, not all the companies are relevant to the people we wanted to go after. So we wanted to go after people that had won contracts of 250K to 5 million in value. And we didn't want to go after like those huge companies. And we wanted to go after companies between like 1 million and 10 million revenue. So yeah, it's quite specific. Also, another thing about this list that the government gives you is they only give you the actual official company name. So let's say example company limited, but that might not be their doing business as name. And their doing business as name is how we find their website. And then their website is how we actually find the contacts and enrich the emails. So there's tons of different enrichment steps. And before, this would have taken us days and days and days. But with Claude Code, this literally was like such a simple process. I talked to it for maybe an hour in plan mode, and it was able to scrape from Contracts Finder, find 16,000 raw ones, raw like contracts, 8,000 unique suppliers who won those contracts. And then in Find a Tender, it was able to find 22,000 raw contacts and filter that to 15,000 unique suppliers. So we had our initial list. It also wrote both of these scrapers, by the way. So it was able to figure out that the gov.uk database had an API, connect to that API, and build the entire script to scrape all of this and run in the background to save me so much time. It combined these lists then and deduplicated them. So we had 20,000 unique suppliers with all the data we needed. So, like, how big was the contract they won? What is their company name? What's their address? All of that. I basically fed all of that data into Clay just because it was easier. Probably could have done it in Claude Code, but I had the table set up in Clay, so it was easier. And then I just used OpenAI with some specific prompts to use all of that information, take it into account, and then search on Google to figure out with confidence what their doing business as name is and what their actual website is. And so once we found those and we had the website and the doing business as name, we were then able to use Clay to actually find the contacts with the specific job titles we wanted at those companies. And so we put 20,000 suppliers in and we ended up getting 23,000 contacts out the other side. Then I basically fed that contact list back into Claude Code and filtered for the job titles, because one of the biggest headaches with cold email is that you're always having to filter out like job titles that aren't relevant. So a lot of the time, if you build a list of CEOs, you will end up getting assistant to the CEO job titles. And these aren't really people, they're not people that fit your ICP. So I fed that back in, spoke to Claude Code more, and it removed 6,000 irrelevant ones that we didn't want to reach out to. And then I fed that new list back into Clay, enriched the emails. So I got a 72% email find rate, which is pretty good. And then I was able to feed that back into Claude, split the list so they are equal for our different approaches that we're going for, and then feed that into campaigns and smart leads. So going for low friction campaigns where we just send them the sign up link, sales led campaigns where we look to book the call, and Loom video campaigns where we send them Loom videos explaining how it works. So the whole pipeline has gone from 30, almost 40,000 raw rows in, and then 12,000 campaign ready leads. And it's simplified everything. I've barely clicked any buttons, and I've literally just spoke to my computer with my voice for like a couple of hours. It's absolutely insane. And if you want help building campaigns quickly and effectively like this, you can book a call with the link below. We're focused on GTM, like consulting, and so we can help you build out your cold outreach campaigns, build out your paid ads, consult on the content that you want to build for your thought leadership ads on LinkedIn. And our main industries is B2B SaaS, but we can work with anyone who's B2B and has a good offer and a big target market. So if this was useful, then subscribe to the channel, book a call with the link below, and I'll be posting more about Claude Code in the future because this is absolutely insane. I'm literally using it for my entire workday on everything I work on. So yeah, if you're interested in this, subscribe and I'll be posting more frequently. Thanks.